They said he who live in a glass house, by the way, should not throw stone. So in as much as you wouldn't want people to talk ill about your religion, then you must be religiously more amiable to some other people's belief and not continually and rapaciously engage in religious hooliganism, as I usually call it, especially when I make reference to a lot of Christians who believes that their own religion is the only way forward, is the only way towards God, and is the only way towards prosperity and a meaningful life.
This is the Stereosis.
A lot of people are becoming very apprehensive over the sudden return of the Igbo youth, a large chunk of Igbo youth into Omenana or Ordenana, or what some might choose to call Animism. This pendant return could be, to some of them, they have attributed this massive influx of the youth into Ordenana or Animism to the rising ritual killing across Igbo. Well, those who propagate this sort of theory might be deceiving themselves, because Ordenana, even though it might encourage the use of animals for sacrifices, but it abhors the use of humans as sacrificial objects, at least in the current days that we exist today. If human beings have been used as blood sacrifices or as sacrificial items, then it boils down to the failure of government to protect the lives and properties of the individual they've so sworn to protect. Ordenana, on its own part, has actually been victimized for centuries, especially during the period of colonialism and the emergence of the Christian missionaries, who have, in one way or the other, found a way to paint Ordenana in a bad light. We must know, or we must always accept the fact that Ordenana is a parent religion, because it never started off from somewhere. It originated right from the creation of our own people. Our ancestors had practiced Ordenana over a period of time, even before their encounter with the outside world. You cannot blame Ordenana for the actions of a greedy fellow, some group of greedy fellows like the Yahoo boys, and a lot of all those who has actually moved into Ordenana as an end to a means rather than a means to an end. Ordenana on its own is very holistic, just like Omenana, which Ordenana still represents, has a lot of values and principles which one has to learn, understand, and internalize. All right, you have to understand the fact that Ordenana has a lot of principles, just like every other religion. You have to first primarily understand the history of your foundation, the history of your family. You must be abreast with your chi. You must have a relationship with your ikenga to be able to fully understand what is being demanded of you as an Ordenana practitioner. The unfortunate thing is that a lot of these people who flock into Ordenana currently are those of no moral value anyways. All they care about is using Ordenana to either maybe gain influence, or using Ordenana to gain contract, or using Ordenana to gain one favor or the other. I call this set of people the witch doctors. Yes, because these are people who just believe in the use of magic, which is an element or an aspect of Ordenana, just to get what they want. But they do not want to understand the culture that is behind Ordenana. Because the moment you are abreast with the cultural practices and all the elements of Ordenana, you are less prone to even hurt your fellow human being. The basic principles of Ordenana are more prone to go back to whatsoever belief that they are coming from. Because Odenana is deep. Odenana seems to be a little bit more of based on principles of the way of lives of our ancestors. If some of these principles are actually observed, then our society would and should be better for it. Odenana has a lot of things to teach in terms of morality. Odenana has a lot to teach us in terms of our relationship, our personal relationship between ourselves and our creator, and the line or chain of authority from your personal family lineage to your personal chi. Those who do not understand the basic tenets of Odenana tends to paint it in a way that people who literally knows nothing about it see it as the practice or way of life of the devil itself. Every religion the world over has its own peculiar problems and challenges, just like especially the Yahoo boys and some mischievous business persons have actually gone into Odenana in a way to make it rich quick. I must tell you that even some Christian leaders who pretends to be Christians or professes to be Christians are even going into the same Odenana in order to, derive power for their fake miracles or their miraculous behaviors or miraculous words. Because every religion has its own faults and its own peculiar challenges. We do not throw it away. Just like the avalanche of fake miracles and then using religion for self-aggrandizement that exists across all religion, especially the devious, they have it. The Christians, they've mastered the craft of deceiving people for self-interest or for self-enrichment. Odenana is a religion that, if well harnessed, can foster prosperity and then good moral behavior among Igbo. Those who are against a massive influx of the young people, especially those who are going into Odenana for self-renaissance and self-rediscovery, is a welcome development. I, for one, when I see people like Mazidibia or Nze, that is Ikoromo, and then they propagate the basic tenets of Odenana, I feel relieved, I feel happy, I feel joyful that these young and vibrant individuals have understood, overstood, and understood the basic principles and philosophies of Odenana. Witchcraft, the Iche, Odenana, the Kwalowe Iche. Dark art, the Iche. But they all form a nucleus of every religion. In Christianity, it exists. In Odenana, it exists. In Buddhism, in Taoism, Shintoism, they all exist. We cannot just ascribe it, the misdemeanors of a religion, to a whole set of people, just like when you're talking about fake miracles, you cannot ascribe it to the whole of Christianity. There are genuine miracles and there are arranged miracles. So, inasmuch as you do not want to be, they said he who live in a glass house, by the way, should not throw stone. So inasmuch as you wouldn't want people to talk ill about your religion, then you must be religiously more amiable to some other people's belief and not continually and rapaciously engage in religious hooliganism, as I usually call it, especially when I make reference to a lot of Christians who believe that their own religion is the only way forward, is the only way towards God, and is the only way towards prosperity and a meaningful life. If you go back memory lane, you hear histories and stories of our forefathers and our great-grandfathers who have lived a fulfilled life while still practicing Odenana. So the next time you want to talk about Odenana, look at it more in the light of a religion that abhors injustice, or a religion that abhors indiscipline in all its ramifications, even though its tool can be used by elements in the society who wants to make it either quick or who want to commit crimes. Just like you see a lot of criminals in the highway wearing rosaries and while wielding gun, or you see them carrying Bible while committing sins. You see prostitutes carrying Bibles on Sundays and going to church. When next you want to talk about ordinana, look at it from a point of a pure religion that is sacrosanct, that is holy, and that will, if properly harnessed, help in cleansing a lot of rot in our society. Just for instance, imagine where our political leaders goes to swear to oracles before they take their oath of offices. You can just imagine the fear that will be behind it, rather than when they use the Bible, when they know that God is an all-forgiving God. You know what that means. It's going to be a serious and sound business, because there will be fear of the fact of what will befall them if they fail in fulfilling the oath they have taken.